So for me, I always say that the intuitive voice will come in, give you a message, and it disappears. That's how it will come. It's like you got to grab it and you got to listen, and it goes. Versus your fear and your anxiety voice, it will come in and it will go round and round and round, and it will, and there's just a different tone to it. The intuitive voice has a presence, a calmness, an authority that just can feel like a warm hug, even though it can be bringing you, information that you need to act on. Versus again, the anxiety and the fear voice can feel like someone's barking orders at you that feels, like a sergeant barking orders.
Natalie Miles, welcome to Fear Unzipped. I am so delighted to have you here. Timing couldn't be more perfect. And I want people to know a little bit about you. You're an intuitive, you're a medium, you're a psychic, you're internationally acclaimed, you're an author, you're a speaker. I mean, what else could you be doing? Goop said that you have a course that teaches intuition in the best way that they have experienced. You created the Intuitive Foundation. I took your quiz, which is something like, what is your intuitive type? Oh my gosh, so much information. And that was free, folks. Do that. So let's just jump in. And what I like to start with is, what is your backstory? Like, what got you to where you are today? Because I find we have all of us have a lot of similarities in our backstory. Yeah. So let's just jump right in and let's hear about Natalie.
Yeah, so I used to work in film. So I worked in film. I did that in my 20s. So worked as a decade in film before life had other ideas of what it really wanted me to do. But it always felt like I was working in film. Like, I loved it. I love creativity. I love the process and bringing creative ideas to life. And for me, it then made sense, like, when I stepped into doing this work full time, because there is something around how I receive messages and how I bring to life and share messages, that there is an interesting similarity crossover where I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But when I was working in film, there was always something missing, or I was like, yeah, something's not right. They kept offering me like more responsibility, be a director, and I was just like, I don't really want to do that. That feels that doesn't really feel like aligned. So I grew up in the UK. I then moved to Canada. I was living out in Vancouver, out in Canada for nearly 10 years. I'm now back in the UK. But it was interesting that I also found that I started this work up full time, started my business up full time when I was in Canada. So when I was away from, family, friends, the old, it was all the old structures that was like, this is who we know is Natalie. That it was like when I was, taken out of that I returned to my intuition and, started going deeper into this work. And a mentor said, you do know you're going to be doing this full time, right? And I was deep in film and I kind of laughed. And then that's exactly what obviously has unfolded. So it's been a crazy journey.
I want to mention your book, and I read this book and I really recommend it. You Are Intuitive. And this is such a fabulous book. It's like the Bible, if you want to say that, for intuition. It's fantastic. I actually have the hard copy and I had the audio book. So I'd listen to it when I was hiking because it's your lovely voice. Love this book. Now, you talked about a relationship in that book that I think would be really interesting for people to hear about, kind of like a real shifter for you.
Yeah, it was a relationship that was just my kind of late back end of my 20s, and we broke up just before my 30th birthday, and it was again that Saturn return kind of vibe, but it was a real shapeshifter relationship of lots of weird shit was going down trying to get my attention of what are you doing? You're not listening to your intuition. This isn't right. Like, and it was just so loud. So one morning, I mean, lots of the house was flooding. We'd get floods. There was one that was particularly bad and it flooded. And then a couple of months later, we were lying in bed one morning. It was super early. We were asleep and suddenly had this big bang and then this smell of rubber and smoke. And we were in this basement apartment and this car had crashed through the top window. This guy that nicked this car basically. And it was just all these things to really, that were the trigger points, those catalyst moments of, no, I'm not the right person. No, this isn't the right thing. That basically led me to leave the UK and go to Canada and and share that bit of really returning to my intuition. But it was one of those light bulb relationship moments where you kind of go, no, I choose me. Like it was a real light bulb moment of no, I choose me versus waiting to be chosen by somebody else, and just kind of grabbing life with both hands and being like, do you know what, I choose me and let's do something different here.
First of all, I'm all about signs. Could you get a bigger sign than that to get the hell out of there, right?
And it's funny because I always, for me, when I have water going on in houses where there's leaks, it's always my sign of, okay, what am I not looking at? What emotions am I not looking at? What have I got to tap into? Because it shows up in houses when they start leaking.
So we had a major flood in our home, major flood. We had to move out for I think 8 months. After that, and I got rid of 80% of our belongings. It was so liberating, Natalie. And after that, so much shifted. And now, I feel like I'm more my authentic self than I've ever been. So, and really listening to my intuition. But for me, water is very symbolic too. And any time I see a little bit of a leak, I go, oh no.
Yeah, you're like, no, we're not doing this again.
I'm not going to do this again. But how interesting that relationship was in the UK. Then you moved to Canada. Yeah. Very bold move, by the way. And then you could leave all the everything behind that was representative of who you thought you were and who people thought you were.
Yeah.
What was the shift in Canada then?
The shift in Canada was, again, this kind of returning to something that I knew that was part of me. So I went to my first ever psychic circle when I was like 16. So my mum took me, and it was there that I realized I could share messages. And then obviously then in reflection where it's like, oh, I used to have crazy dreams as a kid, or I'd know things about people, or I was super sensitive and used to just take on feelings and emotions of people around me and know things. But it was when I was in Vancouver and I didn't have friends, family, it was like, well, I want to go and I went for a psychic reading with someone. And they were like, you need to be doing this. Why are you not doing this? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then they pointed me in the direction of that then mentor, that then was the catalyst of of being there. And for me, it was the psychic circles that I went to every week, and the, and really tuning in and beginning to trust and share messages again. It was just an activation. It was such a reactivation of all of, it just came flooding back, where it was like, oh yeah, I remember. It was like a remembrance of a part of myself that had kind of been forgotten or put in a box, that was suddenly like, okay, you can't put that in a box anymore. Like, what are you doing?
Natalie, I so relate to this story. I just feel like there's some real similarities here. So there's a quote that I wanted to read that you said that I think is really important for people to know. And this is so true. To walk through the world not knowing about your intuition is like walking in the dark with a torchlight turned off in your pocket. Why? Why do we ignore our intuition?
Oh, wow. I mean, so many different levels, whether it is society, it goes back down to, fear of the church, fear of, what spirits people are calling forward, bringing forward, not wanting people to have, to be able to trust themselves or make decisions for themselves, or again, listen to your intuition. That's, a lot of people I speak to have a fear of a conditioning from a religious upbringing that they've really, really struggled with. I mean, yeah, just on an ancestor story. So the stories of being passed on from our ancestors of, we were the ones that were locked up, told that we're crazy. And, it was not the most public of things to be able to do. And hey, now we're here talking about it on podcasts and shouting it from the rooftops.
Isn't it so funny? I was thinking maybe 10, 15 years ago, there's no way I would have done this.
Yeah.
There's, people learning things about me that they, I have mediumship abilities and intuitive and psychic. I just held that all so close inside because I just thought, well, people are going to think you're kind of crazy. But it's so normal now. And it is starting to become, when you say, oh, I'm an intuitive, it is becoming a very normal thing to say, and it's understood. And people go, oh, yeah. And I have a bit of that myself. So there are people that are tuning into this podcast. There are people that I know that I never thought in a million years would it all be interested in this. When you were younger, how did your intuition, your psychic abilities, and your mediumship abilities come in to you?
Yeah. I write about this in the book around one of my main spirit guides kind of making themselves known. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and just knowing that there was a presence and seeing her presence, and having that energy kind of in my space and communicating with me and being like, it's all going to be okay. And hearing that was like, oh, okay. Like there was that kind of big recognition. I used to have really weird dreams as a kid. I used to have very lucid dreams. I've always been a lucid dreamer. From a really young age, and I just thought that's what everyone did. I thought everyone just went off and traveled and did crazy shit in their dreams. And then you realize that they don't. And just for me, I think it all came up for me when I was younger. It was actually came through as anger. I was actually really angry as a kid because I felt like I could see stuff and share stuff, but it was the adults didn't want me to say what I wanted to say, or I felt like I couldn't express myself in the ways that I really wanted to express myself. Looking back on the energetics of, relationship dynamics, stuff in the environment, stuff in houses, and obviously being hypersensitive, and it coming through as, more of frustration that I wasn't being heard or listened to, or that kind of vibe. So yeah, it was interesting. But for me, seeing people, knowing things, crazy dreams, and then everything just got turned, literally reactivated and turned on as, I went through from like 15, 16, and and then kind of weird instances through my 20s. I'll talk about it in the book when I had a weird instance in a house that was.
Oh, can you share that? Because it's really interesting.
Well, houses hold dark energies. It's really intense. And so this particular house, I was with some friends celebrating a friend's birthday. I must have been like 20 years old. Yeah, it was her 21st. So I must have been like 20 because I was younger than her. And yeah, this like entity being came out of like this wall in their house and just hit me. Like, it was like I was literally like, yeah, I just felt it. And I was like, whoa. And I realized I was under psychic attack. And I remember turning around to her sister and was like, oh my God, what was that? And she's like, oh yeah, I put a poster. There was a poster where this entity comes out of the wall. She goes, oh yeah, I put the poster over it to try and hide it so and stop it from coming through. And I was like, well, that didn't really work, did it? Long story short, I had to do a lot of energy removals to get rid of this being. And then actually we turned out that we, because the joys of the UK, the churches do exorcisms on houses and they keep them on record. And it turned out that this house had been regularly exorcised since, I don't know, I want to say like the 15th, 16th century. It had always been haunted and bad shit had happened. Yeah, so that stuff is around. But it's, yeah, just knowing, yeah, how to ground and how to shield and how to be there and work with the energies that are there, as always with anything as light and dark. But yeah, that was my one big life interaction with something like that I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is horrible. We're not doing this. If I'm going to connect and I'm going to bring stuff through, I'm not engaging with anything like this.
So every day I do a grounding and I do a light bubble around me.
Nice.
And I say every single day, I say only frequencies of love or higher are allowed to come through. Yeah. Nothing else is welcome. And I'm telling you, Natalie, I don't experience anything that's negative like that. I mean, life is hard.
Hey, there's so much around right now.
So there is so much around. And I really wanted to kind of get into that because, so I took your test. Cool. And I'm a channeler, an empath, and a sensor.
Love it.
Oh, well.
I'm about to say, it's kind of overwhelming, those three together.
So yesterday, I hit the wall because so much is coming in and I'm picking up on so much. Mm-hmm. And I hit a wall. I just thought, okay, I need to just watch junky television. Yeah. Or do something very grounding that's very 3D. I really wanted 3D because I needed to get back into my body because I was picking up on so many energies and I can see things. And it doesn't, none of this scares me and none of this has ever scared me. In fact, I'm more comfortable floating in that world than I was just being human. But now that I know what it is, mm-hmm. I really like being human.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here and we should enjoy all of it and all the emotions. So what are some tools that you would recommend that when you're in overwhelm? Because right now the energies are ricocheting back and forth all over.
Yeah, big time. For you as a channeler, empath, sensor, yeah, I mean, it's just, as you say, the complete bombardment and the complete sensitivity of all the information that you're receiving through people and the psychic energy that's coming through. It's giving you timelines and insights and downloads, which is great. It makes you super connected. But for you, for me, when I'm in those spaces and there is that, I love that you said junky TV because it's one thing that I love to do. It's literally, it's like, okay, give me Netflix, give me something cheesy to watch that is going to literally take me so I don't have to tune in. Other things I love to do, I think covering your head is also really big. So for me, even at home, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I'm feeling this like flood of energy or this flood of frequency, especially on my crown, and I'm just feeling like when it's so overwhelming and you can barely keep your eyes open because it just feels like it's really coming in that strong. For me, I'll literally either put a hat on in the house, like a beanie, or I'll get a scarf and I will cover my head. You can see why in different religions they cover their heads, because for me, it has really allowed me to just protect my crown and protect the frequencies that are coming in. And for me, I've even done it when I'm sleeping. So if I'm feeling like I've gone to bed and I'm still feeling that overwhelm of information that's coming through, I'll go to bed wearing a hat, or I'll put a scarf over my head to just be like, I can't, not right now, please. So that's really helpful as a tool and as a practice.
So funny that you say that, Natalie, because I'm a hat person. My car has 10 different hats in it, and whatever hat I feel like putting on, I'm wearing it. I love hats. So that actually might have something to do with it.
100%. And I always find, so for example, if I've gone somewhere to like have a massage, which for me is like a really big energy clearing. So I always set the intention that I'm going to really clear the energy out of my body when I go and have a really good body work session. But I also know that that has really it's cleared stuff, but it's also left me really open. And so I always make sure, whatever the weather it is, I have the right hat to like recover my crown, or even have a scarf that just again brings that extra protection level to kind of cover what's been open, so that you then don't come out of a session or something and feel completely blasted open, and kind of undoes all the amazing work that's just happened.
And that's I also very much relate to after I have a massage. Are you, when you go into restaurants or you go out in public, are you bombarded with information from people, or do you boundary yourself?
Yeah. I'm really good at just switching off and being like, no, I'm not working. No, not today. Whether it's an energy bubble, whether it is just me shielding myself, or putting spirit animals to like guard, protect me. But I'm also then on the flip side, I can be open to, depending if it's the right spirit or the right time, to be like, okay, yeah, this is the right time for me to share that message. Because sometimes spirits step forward, loved ones and spirits step forward and are like, can you tell them? Can you tell them? Can you tell them? You're like, dude, this is not appropriate for me to just, start like that. So I can have a conversation with them in my head whilst talking to somebody else, and be like, I hear you, I see you, but I can't, do you know what I mean? It's not the right time. And but on a flip side, sometimes it is. And then I'm, more than happy. But I am very aware of, building energies, restaurant energies. And to be honest with you, I've now got to the point where if I'm not enjoying it, or I'm feeling too bombarded, I'm like, I'll just leave and go somewhere else if I don't like the vibe of somewhere.
Right. Oh, I'm absolutely that way. I feel the energy the instant I walk in. That's why I'm in nature a lot. I'm a tree hugger. My neighbors see me hugging trees. I used to kind of hide it, and I just don't care anymore.
I love you.
And I talk to the rocks. I talk to the leaves. I talk to the animals. I talk to everything. And it just feels really normal to me. But that too, I think, is becoming more and more normal.
Completely.
So this is about fear. The reason this even came to me was, Natalie, I was hiking. It came into me. The whole concept, the name, everything, which I've shared many times in this podcast. So people are probably rolling their eyes going, oh my, here she goes again. But that is the truth. And I had no intention of doing this. Absolutely not. And so the reason that is so important to me, because I was fearful all of my life. I had anxiety. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I know now I was picking up on other people. And let's talk about fear and intuition, and how can we loosen our grip on fear a bit by listening to our intuition.
Yeah, so I always say there is the kind of ego fear voice and the intuitive voice, and it's like, how on earth do you distinguish between the two? Because you then talk yourself out of what the, how do you start decipher it? Because then you're like, am I making this up? Is this bullshit? Is this just my anxiety telling me that something bad's going to happen, or it should get my attention? So for me, I always say that the intuitive voice will come in, give you a message, and it disappears. That's how it will cut. It's like, you got to grab it and you got to listen and it goes. Versus your fear and your anxiety voice, it will come in and it will go round and round and round, and it will and there's just a different tone to it. The intuitive voice has a presence, a calmness, an authority that just can feel like a warm hug, even though it can be bringing you, information that you need to act on. Versus, again, the anxiety and the fear voice can feel like someone's barking orders at you that feels, like a sergeant barking orders. And for me, I also begin to realize where your intuition sits in your body versus where your anxiety fits in your body. For me, I know that when I'm feeling anxious, I will feel a tight chest. I will feel it, in my heart space again, where it's like, well, I know for me personally, my intuition doesn't sit in the body. So if I'm getting a message or I'm feeling something in my body, I'm like, okay, that's not intuition, that's fear and anxiety. And one thing that people do always ask is like, well, you can get an intuitive message that comes in, gives you the message, disappears, but then the anxiety hits, because then you realize, oh, I've got to take action. Oh, something's not right. Oh, this is asking of me to kind of grow and expand and do something different. And that can also kind of get merged. So you forget that it was your intuitive voice that came in, and you kind of then blend it and think, oh, it's my anxiety or my fear talking. So those are kind of my main ways of kind of differentiating between them.
So when they start merging like that, what do you do?
Yeah, stop. Stop, pause, get out into nature, go and do something different, go and do something that basically re-regulates your central nervous system, that you can then feel the clearness and the clarity to either interact with your guides and your spirit team and be like, okay, give me it, tell me again. Go and pull some cards around it that, it's so interesting. So many people, start doing this stuff when they need an answer, when they want something now. Again, that's only going to be, you're only going to get the fear and anxiety voice in response to that. Actually, you should be journaling, channel writing, pulling cards, or just sitting quietly and asking your guides when you don't, when you're not desperate for the answer.
So that's what I found. If I'm desperate for the answer, that doesn't really happen to me anymore. It used to. I want to know. You go to an intuitive, you go to a medium, and all it does is create more questions. I have found now if I really want the answer, I'll step away, do exactly what you said, come back when I'm really integrated in my body, and then I pull cards. I read tarot and I pull cards. Or what I have found that's been extremely helpful for me is that I know that my team around me is there to fully support me. Yeah. They're not going to throw me into the fire. They're not trying to make my life difficult, even though there are challenges. So what I do is I'll go, okay, this is challenging, but you're here, we're here working together on this. Yeah. And I always find the positive side of it. And somebody said to me the other day, my family might roll their eyes at this and disagree, but somebody said to me the other day, Sandi, when I'm going through something really, really difficult, I think of you and how positive you are. And I thought that was really interesting, but I have found that when, even in the worst of the worst situations, I know this is all for my highest good.
Yeah, I get it completely. I kind of always say, I was even reminded of this last month, and I was tuning in, and I've I was waiting for a house to come through, and I was like waiting for a new home, and it was like I've had all this stuff around houses, and my guides were just like, "We've never let you down. We've never let you down. It's always come through. Like, just trust the timing." And again, everything is lined up, the right place, the right thing, the right timing. And again, it's that, it sounds cheesy, what's for us won't miss us. But it is knowing that, what life throws at us, whatever the crazy shit that's happening in the collective, we'll get through it. And, and I think, as as having a channeler, as your top intuitive type, actually, as a channel, you can't change the information. I can't change what's happening. I do my collective energy forecast. I can't change what is coming through the collective, but I can know it and then share it and then change my response to it, or how to navigate it. And by, intuition is a double-edged sword. It's really helpful and really awesome to drop in, but it also means that you can't unsee what isn't aligned, what isn't in truth, and it does bring you back to who you are and what you're about. So it's awesome. And it means you have to live authentically.
That is the key. You have to live authentically. I remember in the past where I saw the red flags. I feel it in my throat and I feel it in my gut when things are not in alignment. Like I almost feel like I'm being strangled, which, we know that's probably from past life, and
100%,
100% from it. I can feel it right now, actually. When you're trying to speak your truth, and probably hung for it. Actually, I've seen that. But I completely lost my train of thought of where I was going with that.
I love when spirit do that.
Yeah.
It's part of it. It's they're saying that you don't need to relive it. It's so interesting. Yeah. It was like, you don't need to relive, the past trauma of it all.
So
and it's
Natalie,
also that voice thing.
I just lost
something that you're working through currently.
I just lost my voice just now. Listen to that. So this is a real life, real time spirit coming in and going, okay, you probably don't need to go there.
Yeah. And also it's it's just that reminder for you of like, oh, I need to keep speaking up. I need to keep, again, if that's part of the life learning and this planet and this body and this soul, it's I'm here to speak up. I'm here to be bold in it. And so I always find when I'm doing clients, when the voice starts to go again, it's always, voice speaking truth, speaking authentic. Or to be honest with you, also when the tech doesn't work. So if the videos don't, if the camera doesn't work, I'm always like, oh, you don't want to be seen yet. And if I can't hear them, and suddenly we start talking about something really big, it's like the pivotal moment in the whole reading, and it's like the crux of why we're here. And then the sound goes, and I'm like, of course it does. Because again, it's like, it's always part of it.
I've had so many technical things. I had one person on who, she's just a brilliant, beautiful medium. And when I went back to look at her video, there were these light flashes coming off of her computer every time she talked about connecting beyond the veil. And I called her, I said, did you notice that? She goes, no, I didn't notice that at all. And my headphones, both sets of headphones didn't work. They were fully charged. They both didn't work. There was just a lot of energy going on in that particular. And when I interview, or I don't even say interview, it's more of just a conversation we're having coffee together. I get chills. My body will start right before I go into it. My body starts shaking. Sometimes my teeth start shaking. And a bubble is formed, Natalie, in this because we're in a high frequency. I only bring people in that are in a high frequency, and the conversation is, I prepare my office, so it's everything is, of a highest frequency. So we're in this bubble, and anybody who listens to it also gets into that bubble of this higher frequency. It's really beautiful how it's quantum physics. I mean, we're all connected.
Exactly. And just the power of energetics, and people understanding the power of energetics is really important. Especially with challenging times that we face in the collective of, do you know what, how you clear your energy, and making it a priority on an energy management level is just, it's a game changer. And then this, you're then an example to other people as well. Like, as you said earlier with that other story, it's then people are like, oh, actually, you're then leading by that example to inspire other people to do the same, and to kind of notice the energetics of, how we are all connected on so many levels, energy wise. So yeah.
And with all the things that are happening right now in the collective and the energies swirling madly, what is your take on all that? And where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about this since like 2019. Yeah, 2019. That 2026, 2027 is going to be really big for the collective. It's like the pinnacle of it. So I feel like we're building to, it's just making us really loud what systems and structures need to evolve, adapt, shift, as like the power struggles of who sees who as the global power of what that means shifts and changes. So I always get people ask me, I was like, oh, is war coming? And I kind of always want to say it's interesting because it's the traditional wars of like boots on the ground, if that makes sense. Like whether it's through tech, whether it's through money and tariffs, whether it's through borders, whether it's through even like darker energies, coming through. It's there. It's just it's a real powerful time of transformation, but also an invitation to really see what's not working. To be like, okay, like this may have worked for the last 100 years, but this isn't going to work for the next 100. So what are we going to do to make this change? So yeah.
I also see it an extremely positive time, like a positive, and it can be even a joyful time, even though it doesn't look that way. But I think we're all starting to see our truths.
Yeah.
And it's coming forward. And so now I feel so much joy in just watching a squirrel play outside. Yeah. It takes us out of we got to get out of our heads on all this and just start listening to our intuition. I mean, I think that is just critical, and speak our truth. Now, one thing that I have found is there's a lot of people that are very gifted, a lot of spiritual people, very, very gifted, but they also add fear to the collective.
100%. Yeah.
And that's why on this podcast, I bring in people that I know are not like that. But I have heard many, many people like that will talk about doomsday and this and beware of this. And if you don't do this, well, that's just not helpful. I don't go there.
No, it's not. It just, there's an it's all about having an awareness and being like, okay, well, how am I going to live my life around this? How am I going to live my family? How am I going to live in my community? That's why the kind of finding your people and that power and community is so important currently, of people that get you, that you get them, is so big, because it is of that kind of awareness of what it is. And I think I did a thing last month on Instagram about it, of just like, be very aware of if you end up on the wrong side of TikTok or Instagram with the weird and wonderful predictions of people. I ended up on the wrong side of TikTok somehow, and I was like, whoa, like this is insane. And it had millions of views because it literally is, we live in a world where if you're talking about doomsday or you've put a title up that's got clickbait that, people want to share, just, again, listen to your own intuition. stop, pause. How does this feel right? Does this feel right for you? You know, again, it's whatever new story, whatever thing's coming up, just ask yourself, like, how does this feel in my own body, in my own intuition?
So what are things that you feel people can do so we can start listening to our intuition? Maybe somebody's just starting to do this. What are some tools that we can do?
Yeah, I mean, I love two things. One is noticing. For me, it's like the power of noticing. In the end, our intuition isn't just through our bodies. It's through the power of noticing what is around you. So taking the pause and moment to literally soak in what's happening, because around you there will be themes, patterns, messages, guidance, signs that are like continually trying to get your attention. If you keep hearing the same word being repeated, whether it's in music, you're watching a TV show or a film and the same theme keeps coming up, it's trying to get your attention. And so intuition isn't always going to sound like you're receiving a message with a voice in your head, or you're hearing the voice of God. It will come around like with, around you in your day-to-day life, trying to, get your attention. And the other thing I'd say is, if I'm honest, go and take my quiz, my free quiz, because it will tell you how your intuition is going to show up for you personally, which will give you a drop in of being like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
So we're going to have all that in the show notes. So people, I highly, highly recommend that the listeners go and take that quiz. It just opens up so much. And for me, it helped me understand, since I'm also a sensor and an empath, that I'm sometimes just bombarded so much that I need a bit of a break. But I also know when to say, look, nothing else is allowed back in. No, is in right now. So you can stop it. It's not that we have control over this.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, that fear piece. As you say, it's that, oh, if I let all of this in, am I going to be able to shut it off? It's one of the big things that are like, I don't really want to ask my guides to step forward or loved ones in spirit to step forward, because then what happens if they just keep coming? So the really learning how it works for you personally to, shield, switch the energies off, clear your energy, and doing it how you love is game changer. I mean, as you've been talking about, nature just does that for me instantly. I go walk my dog and I'm like, okay, cool. I feel so much better.
So, and it's so important that we all know that we have the ultimate control. Always. So there isn't an entity that is going to overcome you when you have ultimate control. And that's something that people do talk about, entities. And if we tap into this, like your story, you probably also at that time were not as attuned to
100%.
Maneuvering that. And I bet if it happened, I don't think it would happen today, first of all, because I don't think
you have the skills to be able to navigate it. And if I'm honest with you, I also have really regular energy clearings. Like I go to with the amount of clients I have, my energy management is like my priority. So whether it is my walks in nature, my body work sessions, or actually going to work with someone who literally clears energies and gives me an energy reset, like that is a priority, because it can be, when we say entity, it can feel like, like you're watching something from a horror film or something.
Yeah. I don't like that word, Natalie. No. It's about, we need to come up with another word, because I don't think anything is out there to get us.
No, I think some things can be done subconsciously, and I think it's working out what's taking you out. Like it can be the things that take you out. It can be someone else's fears that they're projecting on you because they're worried about your growth and transformation that's happening. That is a negative energy that you can clear and reset, so that you're not, again, sticking to someone's old identity of yourself, of how they see you. There can be lots of ways to navigate what that is. And I think it's just, you want to see the good in everybody, which is awesome. but there's also that subconscious things that people do without even realizing it as well. So
Absolutely. And then, if something doesn't feel right, you walk away from it. I mean, I certainly do that. So I did do your psychic circle. Do you do that once a month?
yeah, normally once a month. Yeah,
So
do it once a month. It's so much fun.
It's ridiculously fun. And I was in it with my girlfriend, Lisa, and I didn't know what to expect. And I do want to share this because I found it so fascinating. So there were 25 of us, I don't know, on a Zoom, and we're looking at each other and people are writing things down. And I'm just sort of staring. I'm not writing anything. I'm just kind of staring. And then you put us into groups of 4 or 5. And I'm in this lovely group with 3 other people. And I just start writing and I'm going, oh, Sandi, what are you writing? So I wrote Safari. I wrote Great Joy and something else. And so I'm talking to the group and and it's darling girl, Annie. I didn't remember her name. You probably know Annie. I said, okay, I don't know if this makes sense, but I got the image of a safari, this tremendous joy and wanting to do this again. And she holds up her mug, which of course I couldn't see, it wasn't framed. It was from the safari she had just gotten back from. And she said that morning she was thinking of how much joy that was and she wanted to do it again. I highly recommend people do things like this because I think they're going to be surprised. The one that blew my mind, we got back to the group, there were 25 of us. Do you remember this now?
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember.
And I wrote down the word Levitan. I have no idea what that word means.
I remember you being like, what is this?
And I just thought, okay, I'm going to put myself out there and I'll never see these people again. It doesn't really matter. So, but here you are, I'm seeing you. And a woman in the group, it was Levitan, and it also, I got discourse, like argument discourse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She said that she and her boyfriend or husband listen to this song every day called Levitan because the families are feuding and there's all this discourse. And I think I said an expletive at that point.
Yeah, you did.
Because Natalie, no matter how much I do this, I'm in awe and wonder how brilliant it is.
Yeah, it's the best still. Like when messages come through like that, as you say, it's like, wow, this didn't make any sense. And for me, I think that's anyone that is practicing giving intuitive messages to others, trust what's coming through, even if it doesn't make sense. It can be, a word like safari, you're like safari, joy, like you're like, yeah, whatever. And then it's like, it makes complete sense to people. And that's, again, it's that trust base. And that's why intuition is so trust based. And the irony being also that the more you trust and share, the more you get. But it makes you realize that intuition isn't always about the big, grandiose, big messages that we think it is. Actually, it can be the small things by you tapping in and hearing the name of the song. Yeah. And her having that remembrance is what she needed to hear. And that's all the power of giving and sharing and receiving messages is so awesome.
I do hope more and more people do this, and I'd love for them to do your psychic circle. It's just, even if you go and you think nothing's going to come out of it, which is fine. I mean, if nothing does, it doesn't really matter, but something always does.
Yeah, and it's mind-blowing. I get so many people who have never shared a message. So I put a hand up, who's never shared a message, and loads of people put their hand up. And by the end of the circle, they've shared messages because it's too loud for them not to share. And it's such a safe space, and everyone's so lovely that there's no judgment, which is also really nice, because it's like, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It doesn't matter, but it's important that you tuned in and you trusted and you shared.
You're a beautiful facilitator. This is, so do you teach courses?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I teach courses. Yeah, I go through, I work really intuitively. So I really tune in of like, people are always like, oh, what's your quarterly plan, or what's your 6-month plan? And I'm always like, nah, it's literally like, this is what Spirit are asking me to teach about. This is what they're asking me to talk about. So I really just tune in of, yeah, and what wants to come through. I normally do them as like online series, yeah, with records, because the joys of time zones.
You do such a great job at it. And I agree. I think it's the little things that come in. Just I'll ask for a sign, and the sign comes in, and I just get this big smile, and I know I've got beings all around me. I've got support, and it just makes me feel good. It's like a warm hug. And and it can come in every single day, little bits and pieces. I had one, just a funny thing yesterday. I was cleaning my office and I found all these pens, like 24 pens, brand new pens that I had been given for some promotion. And I had somebody coming over yesterday to help me. He's a videographer, to help me. And I took the pens out. I said, oh, I'm going to give these to him because sure, why not? He walks in, I give them to him. He says, Sandi, last night my wife and I were talking about we don't have any pens in the house. They found 2 pens. They put them in a drawer and said, remember where these 2 pens are. We can't forget. And here I gave him a Ziploc bag full of pens.
Full of pens. And and honestly, it's just the best. It's just the best. It's so much fun, like when that happens, and how, again, it's the small things. I was driving back from somewhere the other day, and then there was a number plate. A car drove past me that said, hi, hi, and then it had NMM, and my initial, Natalie Miles, NM. So as it drove past me, it was like saying, hi, Natalie Miles, and I was like, oh, hi.
And that's the way it works. I call them winks from spirit. They're little, because they have an incredibly great sense of humor.
Yeah, always.
Always, right?
Always.
And some of my guides are really funny. And so that is the fun. Doesn't it make life so much more enjoyable?
Oh,
You're
completely.
never, ever alone.
No, and my guides are always like, you guys take this all so seriously. Like it's the fun, the joy, the lightness. Again, they're all, the other side always come through and are like, what are you doing? You're getting all in your head about this. This isn't supposed to be like this.
So this conversation with you has just lifted me so much, because yesterday really I hit the wall, and too much coming in I was dealing with technology and lighting, and that makes my head explode. And I just thought, okay, I just can't do any more of this. And then I retreated. I went outside. I did my things, that calmed me down. And I put on, I told you, a junkie TV show. Worked beautifully.
Works amazing. The power of Netflix.
So one of my favorite sayings is, life is too important to be taken seriously. And I don't think we can take all of this too seriously. And every little sign that comes in, and every little thing, oh, okay, I heard this and then this, and I have to do this. I don't do that at all. I just get the wink, go, oh, that was cool. And I don't give it a lot of weight.
Great. Perfect. Having the attachment to it is an issue, or then getting too obsessed with the number sequences or the signs and going down the spiral of it all, or again, that like keeping asking, as you say, it's seeing it, having that surrender and being like, oh, awesome. And then, because otherwise, it can spiral out pretty fast, especially if you're feeling desperate or overwhelmed or anxious.
If you're anxious or overwhelmed, you really can't tap into it. It's just not going to happen. I remember I see consecutive numbers a lot, like a lot of people do. And if I'd see 111, I'd go, oh, yeah. But then if I'd look and I'd see 112, I'd go, oh, dang it. And it would kind of bother me. That doesn't even faze me anymore.
Awesome.
If I do see the consecutive number, I go, all right, and then if I don't, it doesn't matter. I just do not take this so seriously that it dictates my emotions in my life.
I love it. Isis, I like it. It's like spirits like nodding their hat at you. It's like giving you that little nod of like, oh yeah, I see you. And those, when you're in, darker, challenging times, or you're really in it, it's those small synchronicities that you're like, nope, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm here, and I'm experiencing everything that I'm supposed to be, and just yeah, trusting that.
Trust. I see those words in front of me all the time. Just trust, just trust. And when you do get the red flag, listen to it.
Listen. Yeah, Leah, listen. And just listen.
And don't make excuses for it. We all have done it in relationships, right?
Yeah, always. And take action. In the end, one of the biggest things is we get the intuitive message, but we don't take action. And so it keeps repeating itself until it's like, are you going to take the action on that?
Natalie, it's taken me decades to learn that, like many decades to learn that. But now I'm there, which is
there. She's doing the action. Yeah. And then it's like, again, that more comes, and then you're more in that flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're getting to the end here. I have a few questions, but I did want to, this is another quote from your book that's fantastic. It's fear is the gatekeeper to your intuitive truth. It's not here to stop you. It's here to show you where you're being invited to expand.
Yeah, I had to let that sink in. I was like, oh yeah, I wrote that. It's so funny when you when you channel something through, you're like, wow, that actually came through. Great. Sounds awesome.
Do you know how many times I've looked back at something I've written and go, hey, that's really good. Who did that?
Who did that?
Because it's coming. But no, that is really that fear. If we look at fear as a gatekeeper that says, hey, heads up, just heads up. Maybe don't go down that path, go down this path. It's a wonderful companion.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's there to be used, and it's there to, we all have access to it. It's not, we all have a way that is unique to us. And once we unlock how it's unique to us and we're aware of it, then it really opens your eyes up to the kind of intuitive way that's guiding you forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. What are you working on now?
I'm launching a program right now called Afterlife, connecting to your loved ones in spirit, so that everyone can connect to their loved ones. It's not just mediums that can do it. So if you're someone that wants to connect to loved ones in spirit, I'm doing that, which is like a 3-week series, which is exciting. I'm doing my intuitive foundation, so you can also go deeper into your intuitive foundation once you've done the quiz. So you basically get these amazing activations for each of your type, and like a 50-page breakdown of your top 3 types, which is just incredibly detailed, which tells you all about how you show up in relationships, how you show up in work, how to balance over your types, and basically how to develop your intuition specific to you personally. That I've been working on, that's there. There's and just the joys of content that's coming out. I've got getting nudged all the time from spirit of like,
me too. I was told something yesterday that I needed to put together. Yeah, exactly. I have a few questions I ask everybody. Yeah, if you're up for this part.
So up for it.
What is your number one strategy to relieve your own mental distress?
I would say getting out into nature and asking my guides, what do I need to know?
Yeah.
For me, I think that just allows, again, it's that getting out in nature, giving myself the time and space. I think for me, a change of environment is really important. I'm someone that I'm like, okay, I'm changing environment. It just, and I'm so elemental that for me, I've also realized that I need to be by water. So for me, having that connection to water as part of the reset is also paramount. So whoever's listening to this, if you have a particular element that you're drawn to, that that supports you, like, listen to it.
Yeah, mine are trees. Yeah, trees and mountains.
Trees and
very
mountains.
Much so. Yeah. What is the best piece of advice that you've received, personally or professionally?
It's never going to be perfect. Launch it when it's only 70%.
Yes, sister, exactly.
Yeah,
best
Virgo
advice.
Rise here. Like, yeah, I can.
Perfect is not even a possibility. So good. Oh, I support you fully. What does a successful life look like to you?
Oh, great question. Um, Friends, family, good food, getting out into nature, being able to share messages to as many people as I can to help people connect to their intuition, travel, my dog.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Complete this sentence. In the past, I was, and now I am.
Um, mm, in the past, I was unfulfilled, and now my levels are topped up to the max.
Oh, how beautiful. Oh, that's so amazing. Natalie, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me. My website's natalie-miles.com. Instagram, I'm at I am Natalie Miles. And yeah, everything off of there will take you to all the places.
And you're always putting up some Instagram video
Yeah, and
about.
I'm on Substack. Yeah, and I'm on YouTube, and I've also got my Substack as well. So, yeah, I've got my Substack which I share too. So more
So
long form written pieces.
all of that will be in the show notes, so people can find you. I just think you're such a you're so valuable to all of us to really help us tap into our intuition, and it's not as hard as people think it is.
No, no, it's keeping it simple, and that's why I wrote the book, because I was like, I'm fed up of it feeling like it's like that we're overcomplicating it. And so the book really was like, let's simplify this, let's make this a real gateway for people to really feel connected and activated. So
Exactly. I'm going to hold up just one more time this incredible book, You Are Intuitive. Trust Your Truth, Take Back Your Power. 100%, right? By Natalie Miles. Natalie, thanks so much. These conversations go by so fast, and thank you so much for being here and for settling me. I mean, I feel so much more calm now. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yesterday.
Thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
Oh, just loved it. Sending love to you in the UK. Take care. Thank you so much.